G'day, Senator Duncan Spender here for the Liberal Democrats, here in Chinatown. We're talking about the Chinese Communist Party after Paul Keating has said that China is a great state. China is run by the Chinese Communist Party, which is run with an iron fist by President for life Xi Jinping. Well, the great state of China oppresses its people. It detains people, particularly those who stand up for democracy. And once detained, they eventually have sham trials. They have forced confessions, and once detained, there's torture and there's death in custody. And then there are still forced extractions of organs from inmates. There are also concentration camps for thousands, hundreds of thousands of populations across China for anyone in need of re-education. There's massive restriction of religion. Catholic bishops are appointed by the Chinese Communist Party, not by the Vatican. And Bibles are banned. But it's not just Christianity. Islam is massively oppressed. Falun Gong is massively oppressed. And Tibetan Buddhism is massively oppressed. Other non-government organisations are regulated to death, and unions are banned except the government-run union. The population in China is subject to massive control. They have cameras everywhere. It is a surveillance state. They have cameras in classrooms now, and Chinese people are encouraged to report on each other. There's no free media. The government controls all that. It is the epitome of a modern-day surveillance state, including their new social credit scheme, where you can't get on a plane, you can't even get on a bus if you don't have enough credit based on your behaviours, which are all tracked, partly with the support of Apple. We find that the Chinese Communist Party is clamping down on Hong Kong, and they're already brutally repressing Tibet. They're also bribing countries and threatening countries to maintain their pressure on Taiwan, a free democratic country. We're finding that the spread of oppression goes beyond the Chinese borders. When North Koreans flee, they end up being sent back to North Korea to their deaths by the Chinese Communist Party. We also find that in Australian universities, in Australian media and in Australian civic organisations, the Chinese Communist Party is increasingly trying to have its influence. The Chinese Communist Party is also spying on Australia, and in particular spying on and harassing Chinese people in Australia. These are Australian citizens, they need our protection. And if any Australians ever say anything about the oppression of the Chinese Communist Party, the Chinese Communist Party threatens the trade ties that Australia has with China. The major parties are too afraid of China and too worried about the trade ties to say anything. But if we don't have a public discussion about the oppression of the Chinese Communist Party, then the spread of the Chinese Communist Party's oppression will continue, and it will spread to Australia. We need the Liberal Democrats to stand up and to publicly speak out against the Chinese Communist Party in our Parliament. We need the Liberal Democrats in our Parliament to speak truth to power and to stop the oppression. Vote 1 for the Liberal Democrats.